Yeah. Hey, Teddy, you ready?
And welcome to week 1 of the Rutgers University Junior Varsity team's Collegiate Star League season. We are just about to get into this first game for this team a couple months ago, and they will be playing against Bryant and Stratton College. I feel like I should make that clear earlier on, so I wanted to say it right then. But I guess I will go into a bit about both of these teams as we are about to get into the pro draft. I will try to make it quick. This is the Rutgers Junior Varsity team. The varsity team played on Saturday with a big victory over Villanova. And these players are still very good, though, so definitely be excited for them. On the other side is Bryant and Stratton College. This group, Bryant and Stratton College, has a number of campuses across the country, but this one is from Wisconsin. I can even Wauwatosa, I'm going to say is how it's pronounced, Wisconsin. I did not look up a pronunciation guide. I should have, but I'm unprofessional. Speaking of unprofessional, my name is Dennis. I'm here with Dan, as always.
Yeah, hello.
I need to write a script for some of this. But yes, this is Bryant and Stratton College Bobcats. They're from Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. Previously in the CSL 2020 year, they didn't do a whole lot. I believe they play in the North Conference, and they went, I believe, 1-5 on the year. But they are looking to turn it around this year. This college has invested pretty heavily in esports. So I'm excited to see what they can do. And they have started off by banning Lucian.
As well as the Riven coming out of Rutgers. So, looking to ban out those top lane champions. Pretty early on, it seems like Riven is probably one of their one tricks on the other team. Yep.
Definitely agree. That would be for Leaf. That's a lot of Riven game.
And BSC will respond with the Nidalee ban, which is one of those meta picks nowadays in the jungle meta, but especially with Nidalee, Lilia, Graves being the top contested picks inside that jungle. So they will get rid of one of those, and I believe they might look to take one of the two hot picks, I guess, to try to take away, but it looks like Rutgers will just ban out the second one out of the three.
Yeah, it's just always scary when you're playing against Nucleic. I don't know how much knowledge they have on Nucleic and all of his weird jungle picks that he likes to pull out. Something like the Morgana jungle, which might... Aw, man. That's sad. No Morgana for us today. But we will see. Shen first pick would make a lot of sense. It makes a decent amount of sense. It works very well with a lot of team comps. It works very well at many different points of the game. It's very tanky. It has kill pressure. Just overall, it's such a nice... It's such a nice pick, but it does mean that Nucleic can probably just pick away the Hecarim, which is one of the best combos with the Shen.
It's also one of those junglers I somehow forgot.
But and in general, it's a comfortable pick for a lot of players. Yeah, the Galio is another pick you might want to get rid of.
They just want to go all in on this engage composition, especially with that Galio can deliver with the Hecarim.
And why not? It's so comfortable.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of options now with what they want to bring for SAT prep in the top lane. They could either bring something that synergizes really well with one of those, or just a late game carry or tank to work with. They might want to pepper in a little bit more magic damage, because Galio is kind of low magic damage. Hecarim is obviously mostly physical, and they're probably going to have a physical AD carry, but honestly, we haven't seen a lot of focus down towards the bottom lane, only the Lucian and Morgana bans, so I do wonder what we're going to be seeing out of this bottom lane.
Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. That's I believe that's going to be the response into the Hecarim, but that was not expected.
Yeah. Let's.
Seems like the players are a little bit not quite too sure about the Shyvana pick.
Yeah, players seem to think it was a mispick. We'll see what they say about it as the Vigar maybe gets locked in.
But the Vigar seems to be the pick that is going to go over to BSC. Gonna not really blind pick. It's going to be picking into the Galio, which honestly not too sure about that.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what these picks are. I'm not huge on the Vigar either. I'm gonna look real quick. Yeah, not a lot of games on the Vigar for Catarade, the mid laner from Bryant and Stratton either.
Okay, so we got word that Shyvana is in fact Jarvan.
That's kind of close. I mean, it's not really, but Jarvan is, you know, maybe LeBlanc in the lore. And it's not that far between LeBlanc and Shyvana, you know? They're both people, kinda. They both
Shyvana's
build
half.
AP, probably. I guess
Shyvana
I
is
guess that's
half.
where I'm gonna go here, is that I think it'll probably be the AP Dark Harvest Shyvana that
I would believe so too. But then
we've
again,
been seeing
they
so
also
much
have
of it, but that's an awkward pick into this comp.
Yeah, there's the Galio. They saw the Galio being picked, and then they proceed to pick 2 AP champions. Like what?
Yeah, and that's their mid jungle. Like Galio just gets to free build like early marked treads and feel super happy, having a wonderful time. Maybe even an early Banshees, and you've just got so much MR in this matchup, and it's against all this magic damage. I don't really know what the pick is for. I like the Camille ban because the Camille was one of the picks I was looking out for. We also didn't talk a whole lot about the Ezreal pick for who is AD carry? Killian. Killian's playing AD carry. It's Ezreal. I don't know what to say. Ezreal's super comfortable. I like the Ashe ban, but there are so many options still remaining.
Definitely Ezreal being one of the safe picks. In general, has the 2 flash. Pretty much
this could potentially be a Vigar support now that I'm looking at it. I don't think it's likely necessarily, but
then again, Galio could also go support, which is one of those possibilities. So they have that flex pick, but meanwhile, Silas does in fact get locked in. Very good pick, actually.
I kind of like Silas as a top lane counter pick to Shen, assuming it is going top lane.
Definitely
which
agree with that.
I think it would be, just because it's kind of a dumb interaction, but if Shen wants to ult away, you can take his ult and follow, which makes it really convenient for you. You actually lose less than he does out of the trade, where usually Shen's advantage is that he loses less than you do out of a ult for teleport trade. So it does also mean, though, that Silas is without his ultimate for a fight, and he still gets the shield out of it, and it's probably a bigger shield because he's actually building AP, which is another of the big things. Shen usually doesn't build a lot of AP, and so you don't get that ridiculously massive shield, which I have built AP on Shen before. It's hilarious.
But
we are winding down picks.
We'll see if this Ezreal can stay safe in that bot lane, since BSC goes in with the Jhin and Rakan.
Yeah, we'll have to see what his support is. I don't think his support is going to be a Zed. That's my guess, at least.
If this Zed gets locked in, it's definitely going to be a Galio support, but...
Okay.
And they go through with it.
Alright.
Wow.
Now that's interesting to me. We're gonna get into the normal champion select. This was a very interesting champ select to me. I am super excited to see the Zed pick, but okay. So first of all, I think it's interesting because Keldrick, who I believe will be playing support for Rutgers JV this game, has been playing a lot of... He plays a lot of Galio in general, but mostly Galio mid. Galio mid and Galio support are not... They're not crazy different, but they're still different playstyles to work with, and you have a different ult range, basically. Like, with Galio mid, you can go either top direction or bottom direction. With Galio support, you pretty much can only go from bot up to mid lane unless you build Mobies fairly early and are on like a very deep roam, but even then it's a pretty far roam in order to make that happen. At the same time, I don't mind Galio just as a... we don't want to get pushed in super hard. Jhin can kind of push the wave pretty well, but Galio plus Ezreal should be able to do a decent job against Jhin plus Rakan, and at a pretty significant range as well. Both the Winds of War, the Q on the Galio, and the Mystic Shot, the Q from the Ezreal, are on plenty enough of a... they have enough distance to where you don't have to be incredibly worried about that. I realize now that it is the Jarvan. I got completely mixed up again in my head that the Jarvan was the...
Actually, Shyvana.
Yeah, that Jarvan was Shyvana. I just like my my brain. I keep getting these brain farts. And we do actually get locked into what the lane assignments are. I mean, technically you could see the Zed going top lane and the Sylas going mid, but I think this is what the players want to play most. And what they're most comfortable on, which I think is always very important. Everett has a lot of Zed games under his belt, so it's very good that he is playing this champ.
Then again,
and
definitely one of those hard counters. Now that I think about it, it is that hard counter into the Veigar.
Yeah, that's the
essentially
thing.
impossible to keep Zed in that baby cage.
Mm-hmm.
As I would call it.
It's such a good matchup for the Zed, and honestly, you wonder why Catarade set that up for them. I mean, a lot of this composition I understand. There's a lot of dive potential on this team. The Jarvan plus the Shen, like if you don't get the Hecarim, the Jarvan's actually a pretty decent substitute for the Hecarim because you have the Flag and Drag plus the Cataclysm, which can trap people in a pretty small area, and then the Shen following up, who shielded the Jarvan going in so the Jarvan doesn't die. But then the Shen's in there, he's able to get a bunch of auto attacks off and a big taunt and all that, and then you've got Jhin from a million miles away firing down for a bunch of damage, and Rakan, who's also able to jump into that Cataclysm mess with all the taunts and get the big charm and knock up in there. So there's a lot of synergy that I see there. I just don't get what the Veigar's doing. I will say, if we do get Infernal Rift, Bryant and Stratton is able to stack a couple of Infernal Dragons, that's a lot of multiplicative AD and AP that they'll have, because Veigar and Jhin are the two champions in the game where you get like a billion AP/AD for everything that you do. So that could be scary for Rutgers, but that's a 1 in 4 chance. Even if they get one Infernal, I don't think I'd be terrified of it necessarily. But yeah, I do think that mid lane matchup will be interesting, and I think that Everett... I mean, as Zed, your goal is to probably kill your lane opponent at level 6. Especially if you are playing this Zed into this Veigar, and you have all those options. Like, Veigar should still have the early push. He's still... I mean, he's still a mage. He's still in the range versus melee matchup. Zed can't do a lot about that. Although, I do wonder if Everett will just try to outskill the matchup, especially early, or if Nucleic will try to lend early pressure to that middle lane. And yeah, I do actually like where Rutgers is headed in this game. I will say again that I think the lack of magic damage could be an issue, where in this case it's that SAT prep is the only magic damage on the team. I doubt that Keldrick is going to be building a lot. And it kind of depends on how well he does, but at the same time, in a matchup against Shen, you don't really have to be worried, and Sylas provides pretty solid magic damage into the later stages of the game, especially when you're running this kind of bruisery comp with a lot of like low range threats where you're just trying to run at the other team and see what they think about it. Yeah. And Ezreal is actually a really good helper to a comp like that, where he is able to stand back behind all of his bruisers that are in front of him and just fire off Mystic Shot after Mystic Shot, and it feels
and
great.
Also in the fact that this Ezreal does get jumped on, because if you look at Rutgers' entire comp, they're meant to just go in, go ham, try to find that backline access. But then there's the Ezreal. He's just you know, he's there by himself. But since it's Ezreal, you can just hop around, just kite your own way, and then he'll be fine on his own, essentially.
Yeah, he is very self-sufficient. He doesn't really need a support monitoring him all the time in the same way that maybe something like a Jhin more likely does because of his lack of mobility. So I definitely agree there, and yeah, it should be interesting to see how these teams end up going against each other. These are two very interesting comps, I think, and they both have very strong strengths and weaknesses, but I think with that, we are going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we will have game number 1 of this best-of-3 series between Bryant and Stratton College and Rutgers Junior Varsity, so don't go anywhere. And welcome back to Rutgers University's League of Legends coverage of the CSL match between Rutgers University Junior Varsity and Bryant and Stratton College. This is week 1 of the CSL season, the first game for both of these teams of this school year. So definitely a lot potentially on the line here. You don't want to get off on a bad start.
And we got the
Especially,
and we got the good old RU Screw going.
Yeah, we do got some fun going on here.
Yeah, we got definitely.
They're not finding anyone
though.
though.
Yeah, they do pop a ward in that tri-bush. They're not gonna find anyone, but they're gonna circle around. I don't know if Bryant have any idea this is going down. Oh no, Rakan! No, he's gonna get hooked in. Yep. He might have to commit a splash, or just gonna W out. Forgot about that.
Yeah, the miss on SAT Prep's chains. That's the one reason they were going for it, is because they do have those chains, which are a very good level 1 CC tool. You also get 2 casts of the empowered auto attacks out of it. It does mean that the bot lane of Bryant and Stratton will be a little late to lane, but it's not going to be any big issue.
And thankfully Rutgers didn't really
also did.
Yeah, Rutgers didn't really commit too much resources into that invade, so
yeah, they didn't.
They didn't really lose anything per se, but
They actually got a lot of
Yeah,
vision
they-
on that bottom jungle. I believe there was some vision matched on the top jungle, so both junglers can kind of triangulate where the other one is because Rutgers has so much vision on the bottom side, and Bryant and Stratton like pinged Nucleic, so both of them know where the other one is. That's another miss for SAT Prep. Hate to say it. But yeah, I one thing I wanted to mention is the Nucleic did ping Murakami's exhaust. I wonder if he thinks the exhaust is down. 'Cause that
I don't
exhaust
think
is
so,
never
but,
used.
Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Rutgers does have the level 2 advantage, so definitely they will try to go in. Collegiate did use that just a punch. Killian doing a reasonable amount of damage onto Murakami.
Yeah, getting that Conqueror stacked up feels great, getting all that damage down. Kugi actually was able to clear out a ward in the bottom jungle for Bryant and Stratton, so actually get some extra experience there. Kinda nice. It was very convenient, you know? But it looks like these two bot lanes are going to equalize a little bit. I don't expect to see a lot of action down there, even though Keldrick and Killian kind of want to... They seem to want to have action up there, but... And meanwhile in the top lane, wow,
Yeah,
that's
they
a big
do.
CF.
Well, they actually know, or at least have a general idea of where Nucleic is going to be. Gravy Cage does go down the mid lane, but Everett does have the juke shoots, and it'll be reasonably fine.
I do want to keep an eye on Leaf's CS a little bit, because that was a lot of minions pushed under tower by SAT Prep, and I think that will still be a pretty massive CS difference
Yeah,
up in that
SAT
top
Prep did-
lane.
Yeah, he actually went for the cheater's recall there. Just
Yeah.
snagging himself a Dark Seal. You gotta get that corrupting pots. Have to get the most efficiency out of them.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly efficient for SAT Prep to take that, and doesn't even lose the teleport for it, so honestly just a very heads-up play, doesn't lose a lot of CS, doesn't lose any, doesn't lose the teleport cooldown, and is able to get that corrupting pot Dark Seal combo, which works so well together, as well as the boots, which will help in
Yeah,
roam
also
situations.
Rutgers are definitely in the upper hand, but hold on as Murakami goes for a 2-man knockup, but has to disengage really fast.
Yeah, Kuki is over there, but I'm not sure if that's gonna mean anything. Seems like no.
But what I was trying to say is that Nucleic actually went for the double Scuttle Crab and did get both Scuttle Crabs, so he's gonna be in a very comfortable spot in this early game. Meanwhile, the Jarvan needs to be careful, but Leaf also needs to be careful as he's forced to flash away. But Everett is going to be here, but Nucleic is also going to join the fray. Catarade, nice flash to get himself into safety. But that's going to be 2 members of BSC losing their flash.
Yeah, just some really smart plays. SAT Prep definitely had the idea of what was going on. SAT Prep should have a decent control over this matchup, especially for now. Not a lot of items on Leaf, not a lot of anything. And just knowing that he has the Conqueror, has the access to the...
and SAT Prep, is he going to go for the dive here? He's going to get the hooks off, and he's going to get first blood. But Kuki, he's here. He's going to try to look for the Silas here, but he does have W. There's going to be the heal. Q, does he have the damage to take him out? But Kuki, he's forced to flash away from the hooks. And SAT Prep with an impressive 2v1.
That's probably...
Not even a 2v1. It was more like 2 separate 1v1s.
a series of 1v1s, yeah. That honestly, that was probably a kill onto Kuki if Nucleic comes over. Nucleic was really low on HP, killing the Krugs, but even with that, that was so much damage by SAT Prep. SAT Prep just... I don't think numerically SAT Prep is super far ahead, but like, it feels like SAT Prep is really far ahead. On
There's gonna be a
Silos
mid
right
lane
now.
fight. Death Mark does come out of Everett. But Catarade did use the Insomnias, or the stopwatch.
Yeah, that was really awkward. The stopwatch was a little early to block the death mark. It blocked some damage, but it didn't block the death mark. It also just burned the stopwatch, which means that Everett has pretty much full control over this lane now. No ultimate, but I mean, once the ultimate is back up, Catarade will not have a whole lot to do against it, and
He's
this
here,
raid
but
are
Everett
completed.
misses all the shurikens. I wonder if that'll cost him. He's gonna have to use flash.
Yeah, ignite and flash burn there. That's not great. It kind of negates a lot of the gains that were made from the stopwatch getting procced, but apart from that, still doing a pretty decent job. Catarade does get a recall too, but Catarade's not getting anything here.
But it looks like
It's actually going to be really
Rutgers are
difficult.
aiming for that dragon, but Kuki is chilling in the Krugs. We'll see if he'll want to contest this, but it looks like bot lane and mid lane went for a reset on the side of BSC, so it looks like they're just going to give up all pressure in the Dragon Pit, and it looks like Rutgers will take their first Mountain Drake of the game.
Yeah, with the small leads that Rutgers has piled up right now, which is like 1.5k at this point, that's too much to really contest this, I think. I mean, you don't want to be fighting against the Sheen Hecarim at this point when you don't have components, really. You don't want to be fighting against the Sylas if the Sylas TP's down. You don't want to be fighting against the Zed when the ult comes back up. Like, there's just a lot where it's just like, yeah, it's better to just leave it. One Mountain Dragon is not really worth risking a fight like that for.
Oh, wait a minute.
Especially at this stage of the game.
A little skirmish down the bot lane. Keldrick gonna get a lot of damage off onto Spicy with it. That took me a minute to say, I don't know why. Oh, they actually got the heal off though. Keldrick might look for a dive here. Nucleic is here. Nice flash Justice Punch into the taunt on both of them. And now Nucleic is here to clean up. Meanwhile, there's going to be a solo kill in the mid lane, and both members of BSC in the bot lane will go down. That's going to be a 3-for-0.
Yeah, and also a really smart play by SAT Prep. We mentioned it a little bit in Champion Select, but able to steal the Shen ultimate and use it for himself. Just a great play coming down to the bot lane, saving Killian's life because Killian was tanking that tower for way too long and only survived because of SAT Prep's assistance. That was a lot of damage right after the teleport. Oh my goodness. Catarade is also just getting very punished in this mid lane, down a level, down 20 CS. Everett will probably be able to finish first item on the next recall, and that's just going to be so difficult to play up against. Rutgers, it feels like they're ramping up right now. It feels like Rutgers is starting to
get that snowball going.
Exactly. They're getting the components that they need to for the team members that they need the components on, and that's just very scary. Killian started Cole. You don't expect, like, Killian is playing really aggressively for someone who started Cole, but now is almost completed the Cole's full stack, is stacking Manamune, building towards second item. Not really sure what the second item is at this point. It's either an Iceborne Gauntlet or a Triforce, but definitely going to be a really scary threat in the very near future because of how much gold that he's had infused into him.
Yeah.
The kills on top of the CS, as well as the plates from the tower dive. So it's not looking good for Bryant and Stratton, I'm gonna say.
Yeah. BSC,
I guess the Silver Alliance.
Oh
my
wow.
goodness, that's so much damage.
Oh, he's gonna just go in. That's gonna be a solo kill probably. The Stand United comes down, the Shuriken misses, and that just might mean that Catarade survives.
Yeah, even if it's not, it's still a Stand United burn. Honestly, that was close. Honestly, a really impressive show of teamwork from Bryant and Stratton, because Catarade did not even burn Flash, only waited on Leaf's ultimate to survive that. If it were me, I definitely would have flashed that. I would have been like, get away from me, Zed, I'm very afraid. But Catarade's staying calm despite this matchup, and I gotta give props to that. I will say the other thing is that the stretch condition of having a bunch of Infernal Dragons on an Infernal Rift, 50-50 chance we get an Infernal Rift here at this point. And if it is an Infernal Rift, I mean, it's not a good chance or anything.
And then Murakami, not quite sure about that engage. He probably thought Keldrick was by himself, but now Nucleic is here to join the fight, and Murakami will just get punished for that. Meanwhile, the two solo laners will dive onto Leaf, and Kuki force a flash again. Now has his hide under the tower, but Keldrick, he's going to go for the taunt. He's going to tank on the tower. He will go down, but it's going to be a 2-for-1 overall, counting that solo kill on the top side. But the fight's just not over yet as the current call does go down, but Killian will be able to dodge away from that quite easily.
Yeah, and this is the macro strength of Rutgers right here. They have... I mean, there were 2 fights across the map, and Rutgers had the numbers advantage in both of them. In the top lane, it was a 2v1, easy kill onto Leaf. In the bottom lane, it was a 2v3 until Kuki showed up at the very end and just kind of got blasted. So it was just a really good play by Rutgers, having the numbers across the map. Catarade not showing up to anything because reasonably you can't show up to anything at this point.
Goodness.
You're playing against Zed.
I don't think Catarade dies here, but...
I don't think Catarade dies here either, but it's still a lot of damage and it's kind of scary for just an ultimate cooldown. Catarade still didn't flash though. I guess that's the nice thing about Zed is that you kind of have to expect Zed to leave. So you don't have to worry too much about Zed staying and like having to flash. Like if you've gotten hit by any Zed damage, then you can just be like, yeah, Zed did damage to me, whatever. I don't think this should do anything. Leaf is tanky enough at this point.
That healing.
But SAT prep kind of strong.
Yeah, W Max on Silas doing its work.
Got the Hextech hose as well. That actually could have been kind of scary if that was used. Got the slowdown. Got a couple more cycles of abilities. But okay, looks like we're not. We'll be fine. I think Leaf is going to be fine up in this top lane. It won't be fun. Might lose a little bit of CS, but should be fine. With the Sunfire as well, it shouldn't be a huge issue holding on to the... It's not a Sunfire, it's a Bomby Cinder. But with the Bomby Cinder, it should be fine getting the CS that's necessary to stay alive in the lane. Probably shouldn't even lose any more plates, which is nice. Although once plates are down, this is a...
I'm gonna try to go for this dragon play here. Killian just single-handedly zoning everyone away, but Catarade might just get a solo killed here. Committed the flash. Now Everett will get out of tower aggro quite safely. Meanwhile, there's going to be a fight down in the bot lane. Peril does go down also in the bot lane. Now Kuki in a bit of trouble. Nucleic is going to go in, go for the fear. He's going to knock back Murakami, and the Galio ultimate going to lock down Kuki, and that's going to be 2 kills going over to Killian.
Yep. Just a really good series of plays by Rutgers again. It feels like it's both macro and micro advantages for this Rutgers team. Everett's just having Catarade's number kill after kill after kill, and then in this bottom lane, Killian and Nucleic, and Keldrick for that matter, all having just a really good combo. I mean, they showed off the Hecarim Galio combo. It's not the same kind of combo out of nowhere that you get from a mid lane Galio, but like this will absolutely do in a fight like that where you can just say, okay, there are 2 members here, Hecarim ult, Galio ult, you guys are dead. And to make matters worse, it's not an Infernal Rift for the Vigar and the Jhin. Honestly, like on one hand that's like a joke, but on the other hand I do think, ooh, this
might turn into something or not.
I don't think it will.
SAT prep.
I think SAT prep is kind of resigned himself to not getting any more big solo kills in the top lane, just kind of whittling his lane opponent down, maybe trying to get the tower eventually. Maybe trying to roam here, honestly, or just get a recall. Okay, the recall's probably smart. But the Infernal Rift thing is like kind of a meme, but also if you have these big AP and AD stacking champions, you probably want
spicy with it.
Goodbye.
He might be dead here. Ignite. He'll even use, but it's not going to be enough. Stand United, not even going to do a thing.
It's like, it sure might be a kill. Like, Everett is so strong right now, and that's a Jhin. Like, Jhin, like, when Jhin was released, I remember people talking about how terrible it felt to play Jhin up against the Zed on the enemy team. And yeah, it really is a terrible feeling because as Jhin, you have literally no options up against this champion.
All might try to catch out Everett. Nope, they're just gonna realize that Everett had no intention of going mid and just wanted the Prex instead.
Everett is ridiculously strong and also has a lot of CDR, both just CDR from items as well as CDR from the ultimate CDR from the Cloud Dragon, which makes it really hard to fight Everett because if the ultimate's up, Everett probably just kills someone. And it's really scary to like someone to get immediately picked off on the start of the fight, and then you also have to say, oh no, we have to fight this Zed, but one of us died, now what can we do? This guy has a bunch of AD and he's auto-attacking us a bunch, oh no, oh no, oh no. So, it's a problem. This Zed's a problem.
Yeah, 4-0 on the Zed, 4-0 also on the Ezreal. Ezreal does have 2 items as well as the Zed. Actually went for the cheaper option, the Yomu's Ghostblade as well as the Umbral Glaive. So going towards a more supportive role, in a sense, getting that movement speed buff as well as vision control. And Spicy with it might just die again. Welcome to ADC in 2020.
Yep. And that's Jin versus Zed for you. SAT prep will not do anything here, as always. But still pushing down this lane. I believe Killian got the tower earlier, so that was the big play on that end. But oh, are we gonna see something here?
Kuki almost got taunted, but managed to get the flag and drag out. But meanwhile, the Herald did get used in the mid lane, and they're just making the push. It seems like this is gonna be Dom1 versus G2 all over again.
I was gonna I made a reference to that series on Saturday. I'm not sure if you got it because I wasn't sure if you
remember.
Yeah, I said something on one of the games where it's like, yeah, this is kind of reminiscent of another game earlier today.
Oh.
Like referencing that series. And I wasn't sure like either if it was too obscure or if it was if you hadn't seen it yet, if you hadn't gotten caught up, but yeah, it's Rutgers is looking pretty good.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
Nucleic just got blown up. Didn't really think about anything, but Caldrake does manage to trade it back with a kill onto the jungler as well. But Killian doesn't get another kill. Everett almost in trouble. Now it's gonna get himself out to safety, and somehow Rutgers made it a 2v1. Not a 2v1, 2-for-1. There we go.
Yeah, nucleic inting is nothing new, but it'll. That'll be something to sort out. Rutgers has such a gigantic lead at this point that it wasn't even a issue. Like, Rutgers was just able to say, okay, we can force this fight and get a kill out of it anyway. Spicy with it also almost died to Everett on the backside. Everett, like, not having backed in a while and not really doing a whole lot. Like, Everett is sitting on a completed item's worth of gold. So, yeah, things are not looking good for Bryant and Stratton. I'm not really sure how they would bring this one back. I mean, they're down 13,000 gold. This is pretty ridiculous. Honestly, I mean, if you are a Rutgers fan, you gotta be feeling good about this game. Having seen that first series that Rutgers played against Villanova, and now seeing this series here, both of these teams being able to take, like, massive victories on their own terms.
Oh no, Everett, he's gonna find the kill, maybe the kill onto Vagar there. There's the kill, but now there's gonna be a huge fight in the mid lane. It's gonna be a 2v3. Rutgers should be able to take the upper hand of this fight, and the two frontliners of BSC will just get blown up with no follow-up, and Nucleic wants to go for more, especially with it. He is all alone, and he's gonna flash right into the hands of SAT Prep, and he will get blown up, and that's gonna be an ace going over to Rutgers.
The weirdest part about that is that I think Catarade must have died to Everett without Everett having used ultimate, which just speaks to how fed Everett really is. This is a gigantically one-sided game at this point. I like the attempt. It actually felt scary for a minute there, like Killian was going to maybe die, but then Killian just got over the wall and said, okay, you guys go fight over there, I'm gonna do over something this way.
Yeah, Ezreal just went over there now, so...
Yep, and that's what he does.
Over the wall.
Yeah. So it's ain't looking good. ain't looking good for Bryant. I think the only way that you can really say they could bring this back is the infinite scaling of Vigar, but Vigar is so far behind at this point. Only I think like 200 AP. Yeah, 230 AP right now on Catarade, which, you know, when you're trying to burst out this Edge of Night Zed, or this Death Stance Ezreal, it's really not enough. You need so much more trying to deal with these threats, and I just don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, Everett also picked up the last Whisper now. Now that I think about it, he didn't even upgrade his boots yet.
Yeah.
Just that ahead. And now Keldrick might be the one getting caught here. The knockup does land, but there's not going to be much follow-up. Now Keldrick is going to try to go for the chase, but Hextech Host will keep him at bay. Now, oh wait, or is he? Because Keldrick just wants to go in, but he's in a 1v5 situation. Will manage to get himself out to safety with the flash over the wall, but now SAT Prep is here, and that's going to be the first kill. Killian going to take that one. Galio Ultimate going to zone everyone at BSC off, and now they're just camping out inside the tower. Catarade on a sliver of HP could get taken down by a single Ezreal Q, but now SAT Prep, he wants to get the kill onto Spicy with it, and he will do so with the stolen Cataclysm. And Keldrick just died in the turret. Kuki can't really do any damage onto Keldrick. He's just going to tank the turret like it's no problem, and Killian will be there to clean up. And yeah, I think Rutgers just makes the victory push right here.
I think they do. I think that this is the game right here.
Yeah, Catarade going to get blown up. We've seen this so many times.
Such a gigantic victory for this Rutgers squad. They may try to clean it out a little bit more, maybe pick up some inhibitors, maybe take another recall.
Maybe pad those KDA stats.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta get that KDA in. Feels great. They're playing this 4v4 right now because Keldrick is not anywhere near there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 4v4.
But, you know,
Rutgers gonna try to do something, but he's just gonna get poked out. Two-shot barrage, and that's gonna be a full combo coming out of Killian. And now the Nexus should be the main focus, but it looks like Rutgers wants to pad up those KDA stats. Nucleic even going to go into the fountain, and the Nexus is at 1 HP. Killian's going to get the last auto attack off, and game number 1 will go over to Rutgers.
And what a dominant victory it was. My word. That really was something. I'll be honest, even before the series, I thought it was Rutgers favored. I did not expect it to be that Rutgers favored in that sort of way, and I think that was a really impressive showing there. Obviously, all eyes are on Everett with the big flashy Zed game with those big flashy Zed one-shots. Definitely hugely impressive, and I think that has to be one of the points of improvement in the next game is Bryant and Stratton really has to make a matchup where that can't happen, or ban the Zed, like one of those two things, because you can't let that happen again. That's just that Catarade did not look like there was any response that there was any response prepared to a Zed pick, or that there was any way, like, even if the game was going well, it looked like Everett was going to do that to Bryant and Stratton, and regardless of how the rest of the map is going, you can't really let that happen. I think Killian and Keldrick played extremely well mechanically, like to a degree where they shouldn't have been doing as well as they were into that matchup, but they just kind of out-mechanicsed it and everything worked fine. SAT Prep had a really... Silas Shen is a good matchup in the top lane, but SAT Prep made it into a very good matchup and was able to gain a very significant lead. You know, on their own side. But yeah, I think that's the big contributions. I didn't see a lot out of Nucleic. It's not to say that Nucleic didn't do a whole lot, because obviously pretty significant kill participation, over half, which for a game like this with so many solo kills was pretty impressive, but still not a lot of contribution. But not everyone needs to contribute. You're playing the Hecarim, you don't really need to have a lot of early contribution, and by the time that the Sheen even was finished, the game felt kind of over, and by the time the Triforce was finished, like, Nucleic had nothing to do. Nucleic could have disconnected and the game would have been just fine. So I do think that this is a really impressive performance from Rutgers, and I need to see it turned around in this next game for Bryant and Stratton. So we will take a quick break, and when we come back, we will see if Bryant and Stratton can turn this series around. But so far, it is a 1-0 lead for Rutgers, so don't go anywhere.
Yo, hey, tell me where you wanna go and I'ma take you there. To the island, to the coast, baby, anywhere. What's on your mind, shorty? Tell me, gotta make it clear. I know you love it, girl, I think there's something in the air. So baby, you be my forever until time embraces apart. Time embraces Ay, been thinking about you lately, I think about you daily. Let's make a movie, just you and me, and you gotta save me. Love when you call me baby, you got me going crazy. We drop the top, gon' take a ride in that new Mercedes. Shawty like I'm a star, know we better go wild. Don't get it right, gotta get away, she don't wanna hold me down. Nobody out there doing better, now she gonna be mine forever. The love of my life, I know, I knew she loved me from the moment I met her. Said baby, you be mine forever until time it breaks us apart. Time it breaks us apart. Said baby, you be mine forever. I feel you inside of my heart, inside of my heart. Said baby, you be mine forever, the only one I'd ever love. Said baby, you be mine forever and ever. You the only one. 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 You the only one.
And welcome back to the 2020 CSL season, week number 1 between Rutgers Junior Varsity and Bryant and Stratton College. Here is me, Dennis, alongside Dan, and we're about to get into game number 2 between these two teams. And game number 1 was kind of one-sided.
Yeah, it was definitely one-sided. There's no doubt about it. Like, Rutgers just completely demolished BSC in that first game. And, yeah, there's really nothing else to say about that game.
Now, Rutgers has made a substitution. Nucleic is swapping out. Arch Spartan is swapping in. I believe it will still be for the jungle role. That looks like where they are lined up. So we are going... we'll be in fairly soon once one of the players gets back from the bathroom. And I always like providing those details. Yes, actually, that was hilarious. I remember that. I didn't watch it live, but I do remember that though.
That was really funny. I just realized I was muted on stream.
That's okay. Hi, Dan.
I've done that quite a few times. Yes, hello. We were talking about toilet issue, but you didn't hear my half of the conversation.
Yeah, you could have inserted anything on that end, honestly, viewers from home. I say, oh, it's that's so funny, Dan. Wow, what a funny thing. And nobody knows what's so funny. And so I'm the only one privy to that kind of information. It's great. But we are getting into this game, into pick and ban fairly soon. But yeah, I think in terms of what Bryant and Stratton needs to change, a lot. Like there are a lot of little things that you can say, like, oh, don't allow the Z matchup again. Like, in general, that shouldn't be something that you can allow. Like, have something that either works into the Z or ban the Z. I don't mind the top jungle duo of Shen Jarvan, but I don't know. There are a lot of things that work into the Shen early game that you don't want to leave available. You don't want to leave, like, a Gangplank or a Vlad if you can help it. And there are a lot of matchups where you could potentially get punished. And in that bottom lane, I don't know. They might just have to blow the whole thing up and try again. Rutgers threw a Morgana ban, an Ashe ban, and a Lulu ban to the side of Bryant and Stratton after picking the Ezreal. So maybe they were just very comfortable in that matchup, knowing what was banned away and what was available. Kind of notably, the Caitlyn was never picked, which could have been a... I mean, generally it's considered one of the better picks in the current metagame. Jhin is probably considered a little bit better, but even still, both of those picks should be working fairly fine into the Ezreal, and the fact that they got bullied so hard in that kind of lane is definitely something to look out for. So we'll have to see how the second game gets going, when it gets going.
Eventually.
We will be getting into it fairly soon. Just a recap for those who have just joined. This is the first week of the Collegiate Star League season. Excuse me. This is Rutgers Junior Varsity, who will be playing on the blue side this game, up against Bryant and Stratton College, who will be playing on the red. Rutgers Varsity played earlier this week on Saturday against Villanova with a 2-0 victory. I mean, that series was really one-sided, but this series honestly feels like it's shaping up to be just as one-sided, if not more. Kind of, it was a really impressive game one, and I was saying this during the game, but if you are a fan of this Rutgers League of Legends team / program / group of teams, whatever, you definitely have to be really excited how this season started out. Definitely looking like they have a solid handle of the fundamentals at the very least. Definitely I'm going to be excited to see what this team does when they get into potentially the later stages of CSL or up against CLOL talent, because that is where Rutgers faltered last year, up against that the final stage of CLOL competition, up against Western Ontario, not able to climb that final hurdle, make it into serious discussion for the collegiate championships. But possibly this Rutgers team will be able to make it there this year. We can only hope. I can also only hope, because I'd get to broadcast those games. I wouldn't get to broadcast collegiate championship, but I'd at the very least be able to broadcast the games leading up to it, which is exciting.
So far, yeah, like Dennis said, we are seeing some promising results coming from the 2 out of the 3 teams so far. We have yet to see Junior Varsity 2 have their quote unquote debut game.
Yeah, they're not playing in CSL, at least not at the same level. I'm not 100% sure on the CSL rules, but I believe only 2 teams per school are allowed, so the 3rd team is not in the same league and might be playing under something else, but we'll have to see how that works when it does get going. Hopefully we'll get into draft soon, though. I believe it should be just about here. I'm ready.
It'll start.
Ready to see that little. I'm always ready to see that little blue bar under the first band thing, and that's when I'm ready. I'm like, it's in.
Looking at it, my mouse has to get the cue onto the champ select music. So we got to get that going as soon as the timer starts ticking.
But
the timer's not ticking.
Yeah, we're almost there. We're almost there.
It's gonna get there eventually. One day it'll happen.
Yeah, I do think that the Shen first pick, I guess going into the ban strategy, obviously will be kind of reversed because
it
of the
good, but Rutgers was just able to play around that Shen, literally using it to their own advantage.
Yeah, I mean, Shen is typically not a bad pick into Zed because it does provide like a big shield for someone who is getting blown up, but clearly it did not matter that game because there was maybe like once or twice that it actually mattered, and there it is.
There's the timer.
We're getting in. Let's go. So the bans for Rutgers last game were Riven, Graves, and Morgana. The bans for Bryant and Stratton were Lucian, Nidalee, and Vladimir. I don't see any reason for Rutgers to change things, but that is a weird pick going for the Camille early. Camille was a 2nd stage ban last time for Bryant and Stratton. The Pantheon is banning away probably Arch Spartan, who just joined this series. In case you missed it, Arch Spartan is subbing in, but I believe Arch Spartan is subbing in for the jungle, so I don't know why the Pantheon, who's usually a support pick, is getting banned away. Rutgers has actually changed their last ban to Lulu from Morgana. That was a 2nd stage ban last time. The Vladimir is also a held ban from last time for Bryant and Stratton. That's an important one, I think. We will have to see what is the first pick. Shen last game for Bryant and Stratton. The Lucian stayed unbanned. That will be the first pick. That is a really scary option.
It's a very good flex pick as well.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you gotta look out for in this meta, especially where it can go so many different lanes and offers so much variety.
There's the
I wouldn't
Shen.
be surprised to see it again. Shen wasn't the problem last game, I think, or at least picking the Shen.
Oh.
I would like to.
Oh, we did it.
It's Samira.
There she is.
All right, I have done some studying on Samira because I have to do a decent amount of study on new champions when they come out just to get the handle of them and what they do. And this champion's cool.
I studied
Just
by
straight
playing
up.
the champion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a very situational way to carry it, in my opinion. You need to have one of those engaged supports like a Nautilus, Blitzcrank, Thresh, or something along those lines, in order for that Samira to at least do well. But
Yeah, I definitely agree. Leona, there you go. Yeah, I definitely agree. But when Samira does get moving, especially in the later stages of the game, she's kind of like Kaisa a little bit, I think.
It's like Kaisa, Katarina, Aphelios, 201 years.
Yeah, exactly. But also with the Shen, it actually might be a little better for Samira, who's more often at close range than a lot of other AD carries. It's a no ban. I wonder if that was intentional or not. We'll have to see. It's probably supposed to be a ban. It is a Zed ban. That is smart. Although, honestly, do we think the Zed is still coming out? You can assume Misfortune Galio is probably the bottom lane. We didn't really say it out loud, but I don't see how it would not be Misfortune Galio. Although we could see Galio mid and Lucian top lane, which would leave the jungler and the support left over. We'll have to see what it ends up going for. Echo is another ban, probably towards the jungle if I had to guess. Although also potentially towards the mid lane, actually. I guess they're going really hard on the this is going to be Lucian top.
Yep, and there's going to be the Volley Bear quickly locked in. A very tanky option for Bryant and Stratton.
Yeah, they really haven't changed their draft strategy a whole lot. Tanky top lane, tanky jungler, pretty tanky support, engaged support especially, late game AD carry, and we'll have to see what their mid laner ends up being, but I would not be surprised to see some sort of mage, especially directed towards the later stages of the game. That's an interesting Amumu pick. Amumu got buffed on 10.22, but not on 10.21, so this is just Amumu. Good old Mumu.
Yeah, we're gonna see some good old Mumu gameplay, but Mumu tends to fall behind when there is a jungler that can counter jungle quite early, and Volley Bear is not really one of those champions.
Yep, definitely comfortable. And wow. Azir. That's kind of a honestly, like that's kind of a flex.
Surprised?
Not in the sense of
I'm surprised.
is it?
Azir
Okay,
got
it's
locked in.
Lissandra.
It was
It is just
Lissandra. Never mind. I was gonna say Azir. There were probably more comfortable options for Everett. Like the Orianna was up on the table for him, as well as the Lissandra.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I was going to mention the Orianna as a potential for Bryant and Stratton, and I didn't say it out loud, but this is a very similar draft to last time, I think, for Bryant and Stratton mostly, but kind of both teams. Other than the top lane pick changing, you could probably just like drag and drop the different champions and be like, yeah, these are kind of similar. Although the Lissandra difference is also Lissandra versus Zed is a major difference, actually. I am curious to see how this works out. These are not a lot of like super high priority meta champions, especially stuff like the Amumu or the Galio support or even the Lissandra or the Lucian top. I do wonder how much AP that this Amumu is going to be packing, because there is a lot of potential for Amumu to build
I would.
AP.
I mean,
Are they?
even if he does go AP, maybe it's just going to be like a Cinderhulk, and then probably go towards the Bruiser route. Maybe like the Leandries, the Rylais.
Yeah, that's what I was going to possibly suggest. Or even like a Proto Belt would be kind of interesting on a champion like Amumu, where you'd be able to push forward, get the forward movement, and then end up with the big ultimate, because that's what you really want to do is that Amumu, is get that big ol' ultimate onto the backline, which in this case there is a very distinct backline that they want to be hitting. They want to hit the Orianna and they want to hit the Samira, and that's what the Amumu's job is. Amumu Misfortune is also a pretty well-known. It's a classic combo, and as well as that, Amumu Galio Misfortune. Even it's not a classic combo, but it's still a well-known combo that's very powerful because the Amumu gets in the middle of everyone, ults everyone. They're stuck forever. Galio gets the ult on everyone, and during that whole time, Misfortune is free to have a big old bullet time, and it feels great. That's a bunch of damage. Everybody's dead. And I guess the question at that point is, one, how feasible is that to pull off against this team comp with a lot of engage options? But on the other hand, how feasible is it for Bryant and Stratton to hold on in the early game? Because we had all of last game to talk about, like, ooh, these are these matchups and what it'll look like in a late game team fight. We never got to a real late game team fight. Rutgers just ran over Bryant and Stratton early on into the game.
They just ran them over before mid game even showed up.
Exactly. So I do wonder if this Rutgers team will just run over Bryant and Stratton again. I think that's something you seriously have to be concerned about if you are Bryant and Stratton. So you might want to mix things up in the early game, try to make some weird moves happen, maybe play around level 6 Shen ultimate, although even that could be too late for you, honestly. Like, Rutgers had a massive lead by the time that level 6 had been hit for a lot of the members of Bryant and Stratton, so you definitely have to make sure that you're not losing these early leads, not giving up early CS deficits. It should be a little easier in this matchup. I mean, SAT prep against Leaf is going to be really difficult for Leaf because range versus melee, Lucian's super strong, Shen is not known for being the best early game champion.
I mean, does have the W to
that is true.
Try to negate some of the auto attacks, but it's all gonna go down to timing, honestly.
It will, and at the same time, I think that the W does not come up often enough, and SAT prep should just be able to whittle Leaf down with auto attacks, especially if he's keeping track of where the sword is, which is very important in that matchup. So yeah, as we fill out the rest of the compositions, I get my moment to look at them and say, yes, this is how I look at the compositions now that they are fully in front of me.
But we should probably talk about that Samira pick.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how, like, is it even a good pick? That's one of the questions. Like,
see, here's my issue with it in this scenario is that I like the idea of this draft from Bryant and Stratton. It's kind of similar to their draft last game, as I had mentioned. You have tanky top laner, tanky jungler who can kind of get in the middle of things and help things for the Shen. You have an engaged support. That's 3 fairly tanky melee champions who can all provide a semblance of engage for your team. And the other 2 members of your team are an AP carry and an AD carry, both of them who scale really well with items, really well into the later stages of the game. And both of these games fulfill that to different degrees with 4 different champions for each of them. The Shen is the only holdover. But in this case, the Samira is kind of an interesting pick because she does tend to be such a low-range champion, comparatively. A lot of the games that I've seen with Samira that she's done really well are games where she's actually just run over the early stages of the game rather than been able to power up to the late stages of the game. And that's another way she just kind of like reminds me of Kaisa in that the early stages of the game can be like a big benefit to you if you can get those close range scrappy duels with the other team. But if you don't really get those, it'll take you forever before you become a real champion, and the range can be a serious issue.
Yeah, and
but even with that,
yeah, but
no, continue.
I was gonna say Samira. I don't know if this is gonna be a good pick into a combo looking like Rutgers, because there's a Moon ultimate you have to worry about. Lissandra ultimate that also is a huge issue.
Yeah,
Even
there's
the
a lot of
Galio
non-projectile CC there.
Yeah, and somehow Spicy with it needs to like somehow thrive despite all these CCs coming at her.
Mhm.
It's gonna be very difficult once that Samira tries to go for that bootleg Overwatch Reaper ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big benefits of Samira and why she is able to survive into some of these CC matchups is because if it's something like a Twisted Fate, then you can use the, I think it's the W, to
Yep.
spin around, destroy the projectile, and now you're no longer going to get CC'd. And that's another instance of an ability usage, and maybe that'll proc your stack for your ultimate, and it just feels really good. But when you're up against this composition, it's like Galio throws his face at you, Amumu explodes in a circle. That's not a projectile. Lissandra ultimate's not a projectile. The waves of Lucian and Misfortune ultimate are not like you can cleanse maybe like 2 waves of each of them, but you're still gonna get hit by way too much damage to survive any of that. So it's going to be really difficult for this Samira, but I am still really excited to see how it plays, mostly just because I'm interested in the new champion. Like, my brain goes, yes, new champion. So
We'll see how the Samira will handle this game, as we will take a very brief break, and when we do come back, we will go into the Rift to see Game 2 of Rutgers versus Bryant and Stratton College, so don't go anywhere.
And welcome back to CSL Week 1 action between Rutgers University on the blue side and Bryant and Stratton College on the red. This is the first week of action for both of these teams and the first game they've gotten to play, but Rutgers leads the series 1-0. Here bringing you this action is myself, Dennis, and Dan with me.
Hello.
In this game, we're not seeing as exciting a level 1.
Yeah, both these teams are...
The...
they're just gonna go for a 5-point. Nothing special. A little bit of wards, not as much as the dumpster of wards that Rutgers put in the red side jungle last game.
Yeah, there's no deep warding this game, which I do wonder if that'll change things. Last game, both Nucleic and Kuki were a little stopped up because the opposing entire team knew exactly where they were. But this time, maybe Archspartan and Kuki will be a little bit freer to make early jungle plays. Both junglers didn't get a whole lot done in the early game, and it was a lot about the 1v1s and 2v2s in the lanes themselves. So maybe we will see something interesting there, but at the same time, maybe we won't. It's Amumu and Volibear. It's not like they're known for being the most aggressive early game junglers in the world. So we'll just see this early clear. They're not also the fastest jungle clearers in the world, especially for single target camps. Both of them do get a bit better on multi-target camps, but single target can be an issue, and Kuki has done this 2 games in a row where he's gotten the very early sweeper and has actually used it during his jungle clear to clear out a to clear out a ward as he is going through his things instead of before he has cleared a camp. I don't know how optimal that is because you have to be spotted somewhere on your normal clear in order to clear out a ward as part of your normal clear, which kind of negates the purpose of having that ward because the other jungler can pretty much just time everything out. But regardless of that, I think it's an interesting strategy.
Yeah, definitely. But like I said, both these junglers are not the best in clearing. But that does mean that the Amumu can just quietly farm to level 6, but this Volibear wants to try to do the same thing as well, so see how both these junglers will play out this early game. It's going to be...
Yeah, Volibear has a little bit more potential of an early something, but I still think they're both going to hold off for a while. Although, if you are Bryant and Stratton, you have to be worried, like, what can you... Oh, that was pretty good. That is the one thing you can do as Shen up against Lucian, is taunt under tower and scare him, but that taunt is now on a pretty long cooldown, and Leaf has to sit under tower without the taunt and has 4 CS. Like, this is... Oh, look at that zoning. That's very good from SAT prep. SAT prep throughout this series has done very well into that Shen matchup. Look at that. Look at that damage.
Looking for something here.
Leaf feels dead here if Archspartan actually wants to go for something.
The minions aren't the minion wave isn't quite as big, but Killian is going to get caught out here. The Kuki going to go for the stun, but Keldrick is there to help him out. The big Kuki, a little bit of an overstep, flashes forward coming out of Killian, but the Ignite takes him down first, and now with Killian with no flash, might just go down here. Ignite is ticking, but it will not take him out. Knockup does go on to Murakami. I don't know why I said that wrong, but it doesn't even matter as the Leona might just go down here. Everett going to be maybe getting the kill, has to commit flash, and a little bit scrappy, but Rutgers takes what they want.
Yeah, the flash there seemed a little wasteful. I think they probably could have cleared that earlier, but I wasn't sure. Ooh, this could be something. It also could not be something, though. Leaf still has 4 CS, but...
oh no, Kuki is here now. He's going to catch out Archspartan. Leaf is going to go for the taunt, and that's going to be a dead Amumu.
Alright, great play by Kuki there. I was kind of worried because Kuki was still level 3. This could be an issue, actually, playing up against SAT Prep, who has the Press the Attack stacked here. But... looks fine, mostly. Oh,
SAT Prep just doesn't care about his own life, as he's just going to go down. Everett is here to join the fight. Leaf wants to get the taunt off, does get the flash taunt, will take down SAT Prep. A beautiful flash taunt coming out of Leaf, and now Everett's going to be in a lot of trouble. Kuki gonna be here, has no flash, cannot use the flash stun, but he still catches up to Everett, and he will go down as well.
And some really good aggression in this early game from... Oh, well, maybe this could be bad.
This might be very bad, as the Shroud doesn't quite block it. The last tick of the Press the Attack will take him out, and there is so much action in this early game.
And that's pretty bad for Leaf. It's not awful for Leaf. It's not good, but it's also not terrible. Leaf is still gigantically behind in CS, but because of 2 kills and 1 assist, the gold is actually near even. It's a slight advantage to SAT Prep, despite all of the other advantages piled on. But even with that, Leaf isn't going to get a whole lot out of it. The Bramble Vest is really big because it'll stop the Vamp Scepter's healing pretty much, and it will also help in the wave clear department.
Oh,
So that should be really helpful in this 1v1 matchup, but even still, I think SAT Prep should have the upper hand. Keyword should.
Okay. A little bit of a...
That was weird. Oh, Kookie, are you okay, bud? Are you okay,
he's
bud?
one hit away.
Are you okay, bud?
Oh no! Oh no! You hate to see it.
You hate to see it. Yeah, exactly. You hate to see it. Yeah, that wasn't great. That is one thing that can happen. I mean, if you're even a very seasoned jungler, when you get kind of low because of some early trades, and you're like, ooh, I don't know if I have the health for this, but I really want to take this camp, so what can I do about it? Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Oh no, now there's going to be a fight in the mid lane. Both ultimates are available, but Caterade tries to stall, has flash, but it's not going to commit to it. Will only use Shockwave and will get taken down quite easily.
Yeah, I honestly think that was a situation where the flash could have been an option. Arch Spartan didn't have ultimate, Everett didn't have flash. There weren't a lot of options to follow Caterade with a creative flash position, and Everett has kind of been making plays that Katarina can't really make at this stage of the game. The Q cooldown is a little bit too long for the plays that Everett has been trying to make. In that case, it didn't really matter that much because Caterade was taking so much residual damage from the Amumu crying thing and just the auto attacks between the two of them. But
could go for a dive. SCT Prep is gonna have to run away from this volley bear. Doesn't quite have ultimate just yet, so they cannot go for the dive. So that's that, but it looks like a dive might be happening. Arch Spartan is waiting in the bot lane. That is going to be the Flash Justice Punch. I think we've seen this dive before in the last game, and here's the ultimate coming out of the Mumu. 2 easy kills under a tower, and Rutgers just makes it look easy.
And the Gromp wanted to watch. That's always fun. Oh, hey, Gromp. Yeah, that was just a really impressive play again, and Keldrick has been playing absolutely, like, incredibly on this Galio down in the support position. I've been really impressed with the play down there. Just a lot of really good play, and this is actually going to be a lot more aggressive of a Galio this time. It will be the proto belt rather than the defensive item that was being attempted for a buy last game. I'm not sure exactly if it was completed or what it was, but it's definitely a defensive option. There's nothing as fun as this proto belt. So Keldrick is saying, yeah, we are ahead in this game. We're ahead 3,000 gold. Well, he doesn't know that they're ahead 3,000 gold, but saying we're ahead 3,000 gold and we're gonna win this game. So.
Oh, wait a minute. Coling is going to get committed. Leaf is taking down very low. There's the solo kill. And
great calling, great calling.
yeah, and Keldrick gonna go in. Killian is gonna try to follow up, but now Spicy with it is gonna try to do what he can. There's the ultimate coming out, flash from both AD carries, and Spicy with it cannot catch up and will go down. But Murakami does get the response kill onto the Misfortune, so it's just gonna be a support fight down the bot lane.
Yeah, on one hand, it's not terrible the way those events turned out for Bryant and Stratton, but at the same time, they're also not great. The support kill actually does favor Keldrick, just because, well, partly it favors Keldrick because Keldrick is building AP.
Wait a minute.
Look at that. Burst
Keldrick?
combo.
Is he gonna get the kill? No, he's not.
No, it's not going to be a kill. This is a tanky Leona at this stage of the game. But even still, that was a very cool burst combo out of the bush. But on one hand, the kill kind of favored Keldrick because Keldrick actually wants gold as opposed to Murakami, who doesn't really need any gold at all. Like, as a support, as a Leona especially, it's like, okay, I have the damage reduction built in. I have maybe Mobies that I want at some point, but other than that, it's like, I don't care. But on the same token, Murakami actually got the shutdown out of it, so that was a pretty big deal. But that does mean that the shutdown goal didn't go to someone more important, like preferably Spicy with it, who's still kind of behind in this lane. Yeah. Down a whole BF sword, which, you know, it's not great to be behind a whole BF sword in a lane like this.
But meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Kookie did managed to pick up the Rift Herald.
Did
So there's that going for them.
Yeah, they picked up the Rift Herald last game as well, an early Rift Herald last game, which it worked. They got the Rift Herald. The Rift Herald died very quickly and was very insignificant, but they did get the Rift Herald. I also laughed because I looked at the top lane CS difference, and that was very funny.
It's
yeah,
not funny for Leaf, but
it's not funny for Leaf, but it's very funny for me, the commentator, and that's what's important.
it looks like a fight could happen in this bottom side of the map. Lucian is gonna get tossed up under tower. That's gonna take him very low.
Spicy trade right there.
Yeah,
Leaf not.
That might just mean that Leaf will be able to join the fight without SAT prep being in there at all. It's gonna use a coin to push the wave. Maybe look to get a reset off before the Shen even has a chance to use his ultimate.
Yeah, there's also just SAT prep is sitting on so much gold, so getting the recall is going to be really good for him. And yeah, there's the blade.
He's gonna look for a Black Cleaver, second item.
Yeah, Blade of the Ruin King Black Cleaver is a pretty comfy top lane Lucian choice. You get a little bit of tankiness in there, you get that drain stats, and you get to shred that armor that Leaf is building so much of. Not a lot going on here, though. Rutgers isn't blowing up the lead in the same way that they were last game. They're not even as many dragons ahead as they were last game. They've only picked up the one so far. But
and Bryant is actually holding up fairly well this time around. Those,
fairly well?
I mean,
it's a comparative term at least.
Yeah, compared to the first game, they're doing much better.
Mm-hmm. I just think you have to worry, especially at this stage of the game right now. Rutgers has completed items, Bryant and Stratton does not. And that's for nearly all of the team's champions. And so if you get some sort of fight, and thankfully Rutgers doesn't really have anything to force a fight around at this point in the game. The dragon cooldown is still fairly, like the dragon's still a couple minutes away from spawning, and the rest of I mean, there's no Baron or anything at this stage of the game. The Rift Herald's not a big deal. So, thankfully, Bryant and Stratton doesn't have to worry too much. They're not going to be bleeding out gold as much soon. Although these towers are probably about to drop fairly soon. And once that happens, you want to probably look for Rutgers to open up the map, try to fish in the opposing jungle for those kind of picks that they were able to pull off last game. Or just to unlock SAT prep for more of a split push across the map.
He's going to be in a lot of trouble here.
Kuki
is here, but is he going to be able to kite this Lucian? There's the Volley Bear ultimate. He's going to get one. He's probably going to get two. Flash forward coming out of Leaf will take him down. That was almost a flawless 2v1, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 overall.
I mean, it was an incredible play by SAT prep. Also pretty smart by Leaf.
Murakami might go down here. Gonna miss the Zenith Blade. The Solar Flare gonna miss as well. Stun goes in, but it's a little too late as Murakami will just get taken down 2v2.
I'm not sure what that one was trying to do.
Oh no. Now it's gonna be a 4-man in the bot lane. Lissandra ultimate used into the Amumu stun, and that's gonna be a dead Samira.
Not a lot you can do about that. That's a point-and-click ultimate right there, and that's one of the great things about Lissandra up against Samira is that you do have a point-and-click ultimate against this champion. So if Samira is in a place you don't like, you can just say, stop that, stay there for a second, we're gonna kill you. And there is plenty of follow-up onto the Samira. And that is a big lead being broken open by Rutgers. Like, for everything that Bryant and Stratton, there is a Rift Herald up there.
There is a Shelly.
We're just gonna ignore the big ol' Rift Herald in the top lane, because it seems like it's not gonna get a charge off for anything. For everything that Bryant and Stratton has done well in this game, they've also just been outplayed on so many different parts of the map. Like, I like what Leaf is doing. I think Leaf is definitely the star of this team at this point, despite the gigantic CS deficit, for having been able to eat up so much pressure and get a couple of kills and have a couple of good trades when it's possible. But it's too little at this point in the game. Like, Spicy with it is really far behind and is going to have to find like that first item still, and even when that first item is completed, like what are you gonna do with it? Where are you gonna fight? Bryant and Stratton really has to figure out what they're doing in this game, I think, just to figure out how they're going to try to turn this around. And maybe they are just going to try to take this Cloud Dragon on spawn.
Yeah,
Arc Spartan's not there.
Definitely a step towards coming back into this game. Keldrick is going to get caught out a little bit. He's going to get stunned up. Bullet Time is going to zone everyone away. But meanwhile, in the mid lanes, SAT Prep's chasing down Caterade. But now there's going to be a Shen, but the Galley ultimate is going to be used as well. But now it's going to be a 2v5 as SAT Prep needs to get the hell out of there. But he will not do so in time, and Keldrick will be up next on the chopping block. And that might mean Dragon going over unless Everett has something to say about this. He's going to use the ultimate to take down Leaf here, and the Zanya is going to bait quite a bit of ultimates, and triple kill will come in for Killian with the 2 kills with the double up. And that's just Rutgers cleaning up the fight 3v5.
And again, I say, okay, Rutgers, or okay, Bryant and Stratton had a good setup on this play, but Rutgers is just too far ahead, and Rutgers is just outplaying them towards the end of these fights. I honestly thought it was a little bit of an int for Everett to run in there with no backup except Killian, but it turns out Killian was plenty of backup. That team was really low on health. The damage that Keldrick and SAT Prep put out before dying should have been enough to make the entire rest of the team back off, but they thought, we can take this 3v5, come on, we should be able to do this. But reasonably they weren't able to do that, and there's just so much damage out of Killian. Killian, like, it seemed like Killian bursted people down from like 20-30% HP, and that's because of the alternating damage on the Misfortune doing so much work, just finishing up the hits onto basically everybody. And that was just a great set of plays for Rutgers. Now they're really far ahead. They're gonna get this Rift Herald, and we'll see what they can do with it. They are ahead. It will be an Infernal Rift, which I think does favor Rutgers in this game, just because they have a lot of AD and AP stacking champions. Arc Spartan is actually just going full AP at this point with the Oblivion Orb. Is it Orb of Oblivion or Oblivion Orb? I suppose I can check on my screen. It is the Oblivion Orb. Potentially going for a Merlinomicon, but also maybe for something more. Oh, that was interesting.
The ultimates were used by Bryant. I mean, a bit as in just one. The solar
yeah, but the solar
flare
is important.
Yeah, it did hit SAT Prep, but the Zenith Blade follow-up didn't quite land. So
There's a tower in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
That is important gold.
that's some important gold going over to Samira, who definitely does need it. Is only sitting on an Essence Reaver. And the Misfortune almost finished with the Infinity Edge, second item.
Yeah,
And
such a
Rutgers-
big item
yeah,
deficit.
Rutgers is just trying to find ways to just push these waves, maybe even eventually set up for a Baron play.
Yeah, at this point, Rutgers should have fairly full control over this game. SAT Prep will be able to sit in a side lane fairly comfortably. Like, at this point, he wins this trade. Yeah.
Gonna have to flash there.
Yeah. And that's the big advantage that you have as this Lucian in this lane with such a big gold lead.
Oh no! He
Oh.
finally got caught under tower, and meanwhile, the bot tower does go down, but a lot of damage is going over onto the side of BSC, and Killian just free firing in the backline. He's gonna get a triple kill again. Everett's gonna ruin the quadra kill, maybe even the pentakill if Killian is able to get this last kill, and he will do so. Shockwave only gonna hit Keldrick, and that's gonna be a very easy quadra kill going over to Killian.
And another big play from Rutgers, as again, Bryant Stratton College does something good, and Rutgers turns around and says, we're really strong, and we have this big Misfortune who does a ton of damage, so you're all gonna die. And they all died. And it's so hard to play against that. I mean, there are a lot of things you can say, like, ooh, this is how they did it. Like, ooh, Rutgers used the Galio ultimate to protect the Misfortune in the middle of the fight, but at the end of the day, if the Misfortune is not that ahead, this fight probably doesn't go as well. I like what I'm seeing out of Bryant and Stratton a little bit more this game, and conversely, I like what I'm seeing out of Rutgers a little bit less this game, but the result is still pretty much the same, a gigantic Rutgers victory, so I can't necessarily blame them for reaching it in a slightly less controlled manner. But they still have to close out this game. There's a little bit more of a hope, I think, in this game than in the last game. There's a lot of damage that leaves.
There's a lot of people
immediately.
Chasing down a Lucian who is going to flash away, and teleports are coming in. Our Spartan is going to get a 2-man ultimate. 2-man root onto from Everett, and they're just going to be on the chase. And ultimate going to be used. Triple kill this time around for Everett. Can you get the quadra kill? Kuki is under tower, but the tower is pretty much one hit away from going down. And Killian and Keldrick just trying to find any stragglers on BSC. And yeah, it's pretty much the same story as last game, but just not as bad. There's going to be a flash forward coming out of Everett. There's going to be the kill onto Caterade. Kuki now up next, but he will be able to survive. But yeah, there's not much BSC can do at this point, as the top inhibitor is going to go down, and Murakami can only lie and watch.
Yep, it feels like this series might be winding to a close right here. Rutgers is just taking such a massive lead, and the Infernal Dragon is up. They'll probably move over to take that. No reason to get sloppy and stop losing the Dragon stack. I mean, if things do go badly somehow with this 15k gold lead, you will always have that Dragon stacking to fall back on, and that is always going to be good to have. So, regardless of how ahead they are, I think it is smart for them to take this Dragon, but they'll get that fairly easily. Everyone will be able to get their resets through. Most of them have reset already for their probably final items before, probably, or at least hopefully for them, ending the game.
Go for an engage. Only gets caught onto one, but that's going to be a lot of damage. It's a nice little cancel coming out of Murakami with the Solar Flare, but he's going to pay his life for it. Spicy with it, trying to do what he can to do any damage, but Kuki just gets blown up. Nice 3-man shockwave coming out of Caterade. Will that be enough for BSC to win this fight? Lots of low health bars over to the side of Rutgers. Leaf is trying to go for a taunt onto SAT Prep. Will get it down, but that's going to be the double kill going over the Leaf. But now Killian is the main focus, but Everett, he's joined the fray as he's going to get the ultimate off of Caterade, and Killian will go for the kill, but it looks like Everett will take it first. And that just might mean that the series is over, as Rutgers have a chance to end this game.
Yep, I don't know if it'll end right now. The death timer on Kuki is fairly low, but it should be done fairly soon. Leaf is really playing well. Like, Leaf is playing really, really well. And part of that is just the base damage of Shen. Like, it sounds dumb, but the taunt damage combined with the Sunfire Cape proc, because that's the only thing that will ever pop your Sunfire Cape is your taunt, and so you know exactly when you're going to get that big burst of damage. It does a lot, and especially when you're taunting someone and they start auto-attacking you a couple of times and they get hit by the Thorn Mail, there's a lot of damage that Leaf has up into SAT Prep in particular, and this team of Rutgers in general. And I just wanted to give that praise to Leaf, I guess, for staying in this game when basically none of the rest of the team is. Because yeah, none of the rest of the team is really staying in this game, and it is very one-sided and starting to
say that Baron's going to be started up by Rutgers.
Baron should be.
Yeah, BSC are aware that this is going down. The control word was a little bit late. Now Kuki is here. Control word is down. Baron's at 3k HP. Kuki, can he go for the steal? But it looks like Everett is going to go in. The Blastcon will zone away two of them, but he gets the steal. Kuki seals the Baron, and that's going to be the fight ensuing now. But Kuki does pay for the Baron with his life, and Weave needs to flash away, but the ultimate will connect. SAT Prep should be able to follow up and get the kill onto Weave, but BSC find a way to stall this game for just a little bit longer.
Just a bit longer. We'll have to see if they can actually make anything happen here, because...
Killian?
Killian.
I'm not sure about this. Does have cleanse to get rid of the stun, but now Murakami is forced to use flash. Teleport's coming out of SAT Prep, and that's going to be the 5-man push coming out of Rutgers. Can they push for the end as BSC? They do at the Baron, but can they win this fight 3v5? But here's the ultimate coming out of Arch Spartan. Galley ultimate on top. There's the Wombo combo, and that's going to be all she wrote for BSC, as they will get wiped out by Rutgers in a 2-0 sweep.
Yep, that'll be it for the series. Really impressive from this Rutgers junior varsity team. And I won't say it was entirely unimpressive from Bryant and Stratton. I mean, it's hard to look good when you get beaten this badly, but there were definitely glimmers of light. That Baron steal near the end, if that's in a closer game, that could absolutely shift the entire game. And maybe if they had a couple more members there, it could have been a potential team fight that they could have capitalized on, something like that. Leaf, obviously, I think played really well throughout this series, even though I think SAT Prep played a little bit better. I think Leaf definitely tried to make the series less one-sided and tried to make the lane less one-sided, even in a couple of very bad lane matchups. And in game 2, definitely succeeded. Leaf was getting the upper hand of a lot of that matchup, despite the gigantic CS difference. And some of that was visits from Kuki, who I think played okay as well. But yeah, it was a rough series for Bryant and Stratton, and on the other end, a great series for Rutgers. I think I can't say I loved the draft. Everett has a massive kills and assists and gold and everything and damage, but I can't say I loved the Lysandra pick. I would need to see it a little bit more and a little bit more standard of a composition. Kind of same with the Misfortune. I get the idea of the Misfortune, but there are a million different 80 carries you can pick. Why is the Misfortune coming through? I just would need to see that in a little bit closer of a series. I think that's mainly where I'm going with all of this is I want to see this Rutgers team, both of these Rutgers teams, challenged a little bit more. I want to see them in a bit closer of a series because as for right now, they're definitely playing really well and they definitely have a lot of fundamentals down. It's just the issue of how do they play when they're not very ahead by 10, 15 minutes, I think.
Yep, definitely. Honestly, huge credit to Leaf for, like you said, Dennis, just playing overall very well consistently over the entire series. Though they didn't win, Leaf did put out some promising results for the team in general, but yeah, BSC definitely need some work to do. I don't know what to say anymore, but other than that, BSC will go back to the drawing board, try to figure out how they will do better in these best of 3 series in the near future. And I think that will be it for tonight, although that we have one more thing to announce. We got the 5v5 Fall Bash tournament. We gotta talk about that for a bit. I did flash this graphic on the stream, I think like at the end of game 1. But yeah, 5v5 Fall Bash tournament. We are still looking teams to participate in this weekend long tournament. It will be on the 5th of November and will last until the 6th. Both these days the tournament will start at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, obviously, and yeah. If you want to join, come down and play some 5v5 League.
Yeah. It'll be a great time. Definitely come out. And as always, be sure to follow the Rutgers University LOL Twitch page. Follow the Rutgers Esports Twitch page. Be sure to join the Rutgers League of Legends Club Discord. All those things that you can do to keep more up to date with what Rutgers League of Legends will be doing in the future. But I think with that is all we have for today. So thank you for watching this 2-0 victory by Rutgers University over Bryant and Stratton College. And we will probably see you this weekend for the next week of CSL. So thank you for watching.
Alright, we are your...
Hold on.